now.
Oh,
We're live.
nice. Now
Oh,
we're
you know what we can
live.
do? We can play that. Where'd our favorite song go?
I don't know. I don't know how to make any of that stuff work. That's all you. Oh, I need to post on the
Oh,
socials as well. Oh, wow. We've already got people jumping in. Heck yeah. That's nice.
I had an echo.
Echo.
Everything has been fixed.
Oh, here we go. Heck yeah.
Sort of. It's amazing we keep pulling this off week to week.
I'm like so impressed. I mean, it doesn't feel like work, so I think that makes it easier.
Oh yeah, it feels like a good hang.
It is a good hang. It's like instead of being down the pub in the cold, is it freezing cold with you as well today? It is freezing
No,
cold with
bad.
you, right?
We hit the high 70s, low 80s, I think.
Oh, get lost. I was texting with my friends in San Antonio. And we're all like, yeah, it's in like the 30s and 40s. We're all gonna freeze. And I hate this.
I'm having some serious behind the scenes technical issues.
What's going on?
So just a heads up, my screen's flashing in and out, and so hopefully that calms down. But
oh no.
if I disappear into the ether, that's you know what happened to me.
We'll find you somewhere out there in the consciousness, in the depths of it all.
I think it's because I have 80 tabs open on my browser.
That'll bloody do it. That'll do it. I watch this guy on YouTube called here we are. This guy on YouTube called Scooper of Coop. He's like kind of new to the whole scene. He's like this young kid doing like all of the craziest conspiracies that like me as an old person would never find. And every now and again he'll like flash to his screen and there'll be like 100 tabs open. I just want to throw up hands because I'm
it's my disorganized brain. That's how it works, and I have to keep everything up so I can keep track of all of it. It's all work stuff, and it's just like 30 tabs on one side of my screen and 30 on the other. So
it's like the Charlie Day meme. That's what it is.
Yes,
that's what it is. You'll just live in the meme.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh gosh, we got a fun one tonight. I mean, like every week's fun, let's be honest with you. We got like a really fun one tonight. See lots of people jumping in the chat already. That's lush. We got a ticket giveaway today.
We do.
We got
another ticket giveaway. Who's going to be the lucky winner tonight? I don't know, but we've got another ticket to give away.
Yeah.
Things are really amping up for the Scottsdale event quests for ancient civilizations. I'm really excited about that. Like, I get to see all the numbers, so I'm seeing all the purchases every day coming in and people coming. So I'm excited. It's going to be such a good event with everybody there. I can't wait to meet everybody and shake some hands and stuff. It's going to be fun. I'm sad that you're not coming.
I know. But think about it. Like when I do
get still pregnant?
Dude. Okay. No, I have to post pictures at some point. I had my baby shower this weekend and I was just looking at pictures of I look like I've eaten two of my former selves. Like I used to be so teeny tiny. I was looking at pictures from my wedding, which was a year ago this Sunday. And I was so teeny and so skinny, and now I'm just like 40 pounds heavier. Woo! But yeah, so at the conference or at the future conference, I'll be there, tiny baby in tow. It'll be a good time. I'm excited. But no, you guys are gonna have the best time. And chat, if you would like the opportunity to win one of the tickets to the conference or a ticket to the conference, just remember to get in the super chat, ask some questions, say some fun stuff. We'll be hanging out for the next hour or so. We always say it's gonna be an hour and it always goes longer. It'll be fun. So when is my due date? So it's gonna be, see, I'm leaning forward and I'm like leaning on my own lungs. So it's February 9th, according to Big Pharma, but it could be anytime between like mid-January to like the end of February. So I'm underprepared for everything that's ahead, but we'll get there. We'll get there. It'll be great. Register on Amazon. But I think we need to get into the show tonight, if
I
that's okay
agree.
with
I'm
you,
excited.
Mike.
Yeah, I want to get into these topics.
Yeah, this is so we got William Henry with us, and I mean, I think the title of this episode, I'm maybe a little bit biased, but I am just I've been so excited for this one because this is definitely looking at the ancient past, but I think from a position and direction that we haven't even mentioned yet at any point. Um, and I got to, do some fun stuff on this kind of thing when I was still writing like regularly for the Y Files. And it's one of the most under talked about subjects that gets so much good attention when it's out there. So I'm excited. I think we need to bring William in so we can just
Yes,
knock it out of the
let's
park here. Let's do
dive
it.
into it.
Let's do it. Where is William? Is he still here?
Good evening.
How's it going?
Terrific. How are y'all?
Good.
Really
Thank
good.
you so much for joining us.
My
Really
pleasure.
excited to dive into things with you tonight. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. I've really been looking forward to it.
Oh, you're so kind. No one looks forward to this. Everyone's just like, how are you guys not canceled yet?
People keep coming back. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we're so spoiled. Especially like Mike, who, put all this together, organizes everything, Sammi and Mike producing everything. I feel super spoiled because I just get to show up and talk to like really awesome people and learn cool stuff. So with that in mind, William, let's start with your new book. That's where I want to go to tonight because that's
Okay.
what I'm most excited for. And talking about sort of, the stuff you're going to be covering at the conference as well, which I hope this isn't a spoiler, but we're going to be talking about psychedelics in the ancient world.
Yes.
Where does one begin with that subject?
I'm sure a lot of people know this, but it seems like it doesn't get talked about enough. But psychedelics in the ancient world were a huge part of just regular society around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, like how regular? Like I know that there was like crazy stuff in the water, but like how normal is my hot water bottle because it's very cold? How normalized are we talking here?
I'm sorry, how what?
How normalized are we talking?
I mean, it was foundational to many civilizations. It was a sacrament. It wasn't a party type of scenario. It was more for reverence and connection, especially connection with the gods. And so this literally goes back thousands of years. I mean, you can name a culture and essentially name a drug that they were using that became the foundation for their culture to regulate the society, to unify people. For healing and ultimately for spiritual or, as I say, sacramental purposes.
That's amazing.
So not a party drug like we do today.
Right. It's kind of sad where we're at today. I mean, we're the pendulum swinging back towards more of the sacred. And, we're always claiming when we're using psychedelics that it is with the intention of connecting or healing. But, then you also have the other side of it as well. But it's such an important subject. And I just, as a sort of a preface, want to say I've been researching and writing in this ancient civilization area. I published my first book in 1994. And so
you have 18 books out. Is that correct?
Yeah, 18 or
That's the dream right there.
Amazing.
Oh my
something
gosh.
like that. Yeah,
I just finished my first and about to go to print, and it took me 3 years to do that.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So 18 books to me is mind blowing.
Yeah. I just wrote my first one, and I've never done anything so abusive to myself in my entire life than write a book. I loved it. I loved every second of it, but it was toxic. So to have that kind of natural flow, 18 books, heck yeah, that's incredible, and on such a cool subject matter too. Oh my gosh,
I know. Kind of runs the gamut from beginning with like the Holy Grail into ancient Egypt, Sumeria, Anunnaki, extraterrestrial, Stargates, wormholes. There's several that are my most recent ones that are actually favorites, all about the Anunnaki, the Ark of the Covenant, all of these subjects that we all love to talk about and research so much. And early on, I think it was like 1999, I had written a book about the Ark of the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
And strangely, people, when they talk about the Ark, they usually focus on it as this kind of golden box, as a container. And very seldom, if ever, do they open that box and ask, well, what was inside? And it turns out that there were several components. There was the rod of Aaron, there was a flask of manna, which when you run that down that rabbit hole, you find out the manna is hallucinogenic. It's a star food. They call it.
Really?
Yeah. There was a cruse of anointing oil with the Ark of the Covenant as well. That was also probably cannabis based and hallucinogenic. It created a sort of a seal around the body of the high priest when they would engage with the Ark of the Covenant. And we know what the recipe is for these. I mean, it's got cannabis, it's got myrrh. Many of these plants that are mentioned in the Bible are in fact hallucinogenic, or entheogenic is the term many prefer to use today. It awakens the divine within. So while I had acknowledged that and been told literally by experts at the time in mushrooms and psychedelics that, William, one of these days you're going to wake up and realize everything you're talking about in these ancient mysteries focuses on psychedelics. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I started collecting a library of books, and I was never into psychedelics. I didn't do many drugs in high school like my friends did, or college, kind of skipped all of that scene. And it just was not part of my consciousness. And then later I started to feel somewhat personally like a captive dolphin. I felt like I was a dolphin in an aquarium somewhere, and I knew that there was this whole wide world of consciousness out there, but I kept bumping my nose up against that glass, and I just wanted to break through, and realized that to do that, it was going to require some assistance. I mean, meditation's great, chanting, prayer, fasting, music, dancing, all of that is awesome. But then try a little DMT sometime, or a little psilocybin, and you find out what it's really all about. And that was a profound moment of transformation for me.
What was that?
Yeah.
What
Tell
that
us about
first
that.
experience? If you don't mind me asking, what was it with, and
Yeah,
how was
sure.
that first experience?
My first experience was actually changa, which is a smokable form of dimethyltryptamine, which is a
Oh, you went just straight to the top. You didn't like ease into anything. You just went all the way to the very apex there.
Straight to God.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, a couple of hits off
Wow.
the pipe, a few seconds later, the veil starts shimmering, it opens up, and I found myself in an Egyptian temple. I had always understood that, the Egyptian principle of correspondence is as above, so below. And so many of these Egyptian legends say, like Edfu, the temple of Horus at Edfu, it dropped down out of heaven, type of a thing. And so this idea is that the temples that we visit in Egypt today are copies, earthly copies of heavenly originals. And so as the veil opens in this changa experience, I'm suddenly in this magnificent Egyptian temple, enormous, that I identified as very similar to the Temple of Hathor at Dendera.
Wow.
And it was mind-blowing, because I'm like, my God, this is what they're talking about. This is what these temples, this is what they were trying to duplicate on earth, were these heavenly originals. And all of a sudden I see this purple throne, massive purple throne, and it's filled with stars. And I recognized it as an Egyptian ascension throne. I mean, I've studied those things for 20 years and constantly looking into them and looking at depictions of them on the temple walls. And here's one right in front of me, but it's filled with stars. I mean, like the earthly ones at Dendera have feathers on them, because they're ascension thrones. They fly, so they put feathers on them to indicate that. But this one was full of stars. And then all of a sudden there was this mermaid's tail on this throne. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on here, kind of a thing. And then there's a voice. It's a female voice. And she says, William, your work in Egypt with the star boats, the Ark of the Millions of Years, that I had presented as a wormhole. She says, "That's beautiful." And I'm thinking, like, well, how do you know that? I mean, how are you aware of what I've been doing and all that? And then she goes, "You know that photo you've been trying to take in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo?" And I knew instantly the one she was talking about. There used to be a sarcophagus. You'd go into the Cairo Museum, and Meron Ptah's sarcophagus was there. He's the son of one of the sons of King Seti. And I would routinely make a beeline to that sarcophagus, trying to get a picture of this guy standing on the Ark of the Millions of Years with a Uaz scepter in one hand and a star in his other hand.
Wow.
And it was really difficult because of the placement of this image in the sarcophagus. I had to do this contortionist effect to get under there, to get up under and take this picture. And she goes, "You know that picture?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that one. Yeah." And she goes, "That's you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I've spent like 20 years trying to study this and understand it, going to Egypt 25 times." And she goes, "No, William, that's you." And the way she said it, it just went in, and I realized, yeah, I am that guy on that boat. I am that. I call them star walkers. I am that star walker. I came from somewhere else. I'm temporarily inhabiting this place, and then one day I'm going to go find my boat again and sail off out into the winding waters of the Milky Way, as the Egyptians said we could. And I realized that is, just an affirmation of what my search is really all about. It's like, especially in Egypt, it's not just how did they build those temples? How did they lift those blocks? How did they polish those blocks? How did they do it? My question was always, why did they build the pyramids? Why did they build these temples? And the answer is because they were trying to open portals, gateways to other realms and rejoin the celestials out there in the Milky Way. And that Changa experience just really transformed my thinking and my determination even more to pursue those mysteries.
Wow.
Were you
That sounds
traveling?
like a gift from God right there.
Yeah, it was so incredible. So incredible.
Yeah.
Were you traveling at the time? Were you like overseas?
No, I was actually in an undisclosed location in America.
Yeah.
Those are always the best ones, unless they're owned by like DARPA or other members of the deep state.
Right. And I instantly got it, right? Because I've had since then more Changa experiences and been with people that have had a Changa experience. And what it made me realize is something really important. And that is, well, let me, a short story. A friend, a Jewish friend, was having a Changa experience. When he comes out of it, I'm sitting there with him. And he's like, "Oh man, I went into this room and there was this it looked like an alchemy lab over there. And there was this kind of Egyptian looking guy. He said he had a long beak and wearing like what looked like an Egyptian headdress. And he's like, yeah, he was like trying to get me to come into the lab. And I came in here to my office and I grabbed this statue and I said, 'Did he happen to look like this?' And he said, 'That's exactly who I just saw.' And I'm like, 'And you didn't talk to him?' I said, this is Thoth. Okay, this is the Egyptian god of divine magic and alchemy. Probably introduced psychedelics to the ancient Egyptians as a conduit so that ordinary humans can open up a portal in their consciousness and connect."
Oh, damn.
What that really started to help me understand is that while we might think that these gods are walking around in a physical form, they're more connected to us in consciousness than anything.
Yeah, and that depth of consciousness, I think, I don't know, the first thing that kind of came to my mind when you read about people who've had near-death experiences, and tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't Thoth also have something to do with that journey through into the afterlife?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think I don't know, every time I've sort of dug into journeys into death and near-death experiences, things like that, in my previous writing and research, all of those stories seem to be the same, and they correlate immensely with people's experiences using psychedelics.
Yes.
Suggesting, I mean, there's also sort of like the physical study, like there was a study done, I think it's back in the 20s, where they measured the weight of the human soul.
Oh, right.
And no one's agreed to replicate it. So as far as I'm concerned, I like the science on that one. I think it's like the 21 grams experiment.
Right.
This idea that the human soul has weight, it is a physical thing, but transcends consciousness, or what we know as like the physical world, into this existence beyond. And I just think, I don't know, I just got chills like hearing that, because of, I don't know, that just, to me, that just sort of proves that there is no real death. There's just the next part of the journey. And do you
Exactly,
think,
another layer.
well, I think it's like so interesting as well. You're talking about, I want to dig into more of like the use of psychedelics in the ancient world. And I was writing about this actually for you today, Mike. I can't remember what the context was, but talking about, it was a documentary I saw years and years and years ago that sort of talks about the emergence of Christianity. And you look at like the themes within it. Like, I'm a Christian, and I do believe that Christ died for our sins. And there's so much within the manipulation of man that I think goes into modern day Christianity, that we've lost half the knowledge that, you know, if not more of the knowledge that we could have gained the last time he was here. And so this idea, that there is that psychedelic aspect. God doesn't make things by accident. So psychedelics are here for a reason.
Yeah.
Oh, you accidentally muted. Oh,
Unplugged.
Yeah. I'm the ties. You mentioned a bunch of stuff earlier about the ties in Christianity and a lot of different stuff that they were using and everything things, but definitely would love to explore that more, as far as how that shaped the religion that we know as today. Because I assume, you know, it's declined, obviously, right? Like over the to the point where we are now. That's not, none of that would be accepted within the church culture.
No. I mean, it's and I'm following a trail of a number of academics that have looked at this very seriously for the past really 40 years, beginning around 1970. Well, Gordon Wasson was a mycologist, mushroom expert, who started to talk about this in the late 50s. And then you have John Marco Allegro's Sacred Mushroom and the Cross in 1970. He came out and said he was the first translator to have eyes on the Dead Sea Scrolls. And he came out and announced that the Essenes, this is the tribe of primarily Jewish mystics, out of which Jesus, Mary Magdalene, the Mother Mary, John the Baptist, Joseph of Arimathea, all the main players in the Jesus story in the New Testament, were either Essenes or heavily Essene influenced. And it was Allegro who said that, based on his translations of the first translations of the Dead Sea Scrolls, that the Essenes were a Amanita muscaria mushroom cult, and that was their sacrament. And that really caught my attention, as it has many, many others, because you know, Christianity didn't emerge from a vacuum. There was a long history, prehistory, among the Greeks, among the Egyptians, among the Sumerians, of using these plants and plant medicine to awaken consciousness. And we know for a fact, absolute fact, that they were also using psychotropic wine as well. They were masters at creating various brews, potions, elixirs, wines that were intended to awaken these latent capabilities within us and open portals within our consciousness, so that then we could perceive the divine realm and connect with it, as well as heal the physical body, heal emotional traumas, all this sort of thing. And
I think they understood also that being in connection and like being connected with your body and understanding your body and these different aspects that we don't look at the same way anymore in modern culture had to do with your health, your healing, your longevity, and all sorts of things like that. That it feels like we're starting to figure out again right now. Like, people are getting more, you know, natural with their their lifestyles and things, and trying to get more in tune with the earth and the things that have been provided for us here, including psychedelics and these types of things.
Right. I mean, yeah, as Kay said a moment ago, there's a reason why there's hundreds of plants that are capable of inducing a psychedelic effect on this planet. And what was fascinating to me as an ancient astronaut theorist, I've been a contributor to Ancient Aliens for 16 of the 17 seasons, or 17 of 18, whatever the number is. I've been on almost 300 episodes of the show.
That's amazing.
We
So cool.
documented all these stories of extraterrestrials coming here. And something I just started paying attention to was the number of references to the plants that they brought with them, including cannabis is often mentioned, the banana is mentioned, cotton is mentioned. And it's just fascinating to me to then look at, like, even the academic level where they study this. I mean, when Adam and Eve are evicted from the Garden of Eden and they get through the gate of Eden, the first thing they do is they burn incense. And some clever academic is saying, well, where did you get that incense from? Where'd you get those plants from? And they figure, well, maybe they brought them with them from wherever it was that they came from. And that's a story that you find not in every culture, but in many cultures. They talk about the gods or the angels bringing various plants or plant medicine to Earth, to humans. And we're the ones that decide. And you see this on the temple walls in Egypt. I mean, there's a constant exchange going on between the pharaohs and the gods. And the gods are saying, here's our beautiful plants. These are for you. These are a gift for you. And we seem to be the only culture in human history that says, no, we're okay. We don't really want those plants. We don't want that medicine. We don't want that gift. And but as you said, Mike, this is something that is starting to shift. People are going back to rediscover this because it unlocks so many important aspects of our consciousness, of our immune system. Cannabis is another one of those that in 1962, we discovered we have this endocannabinoid system within our neurocircuitry that THC unlocks this whole host of benefits, from pain relief to relaxation to expanded consciousness. And the question is, who knew, and how did we learn that cannabis was like the key that unlocks this wondrous system within us? How did it get there? And how did we discover that? It's so fascinating.
And it's such a deep symbiosis as well. I mean, I don't think it's controversial to say that if every human was still able to use these plants freely in the way that they were designed, well, I think we wouldn't have things like governments. We might still have sort of like tribes. We certainly wouldn't have half of the ailments and issues that we face in macro modern society. I wouldn't have a job. It'd be great. I wouldn't have any problems to solve in social decline and social sciences. It would be really chill.
You're so right. I mean, the Eleusinian mysteries are the classic example of that. For 1,000 years, the Greek state endorsed, promoted these mystery teachings that focused on first a preparation, the lesser mysteries, and then the greater mysteries, as they call them, where people would drink a potion. And after that experience, they were morally upright. They lived by the golden rule. They knew that they had to love their neighbor as themselves. This is just something that came with that. And that's why the Athenian state promoted it, because it was a way of advancing their culture and keeping everybody chilled out. When everybody's got that higher consciousness, you don't need massive armies or massive police forces or surveillance and some of the things that we have today.
Yeah, you see the sort of redundancy in so many of the things that make us angry. I had a family member tell me, he was like, oh, well, when I was, 16, we used to ditch school, drop some acid and go talk to God for 12 hours. And I just thought, that's probably why you're all still a bunch of hippies to this day. And I love it. You're right. Someone just said in the chat, it's so, there's such an intelligent design where cannabis exists and we have these natural receptors in us for it, that's not like, how can you argue against intelligent design when it's that fine, like that specific? And I also read a theory once, and it might have been in one of your books actually, William, but I think I also read it, or it might have been quoted in something like Sapiens, which now, hindsight, not the best book ever. Mm-hmm. But this idea that we've probably eaten and destroyed more, and more psychedelic plants have gone extinct purely through overuse by human consumption over the years, or the millennia, I should say. Yeah. Then, and obviously, this sort of idea of government control over these things. I mean, you have to have government control over these things now when you have, I'm a fan of capitalism, if that's, if it's that, or socialism, or Marxism, right, communism, then I think we'll go with capitalism. I quite like that one, in comparison to the others, but that's just me. But obviously in a capitalist society, you can't have all of us running around understanding the beauty and the absolute majesty of the planet that we live on, because then how are they going to make money from us? Because so many of the things that they sell to us are redundant. Amazon wouldn't even have a job. Right. Oh, can you imagine how much better the world would be?
I think it starts making you, so I was a heavy user in the first half of my life. Psychedelic.
No, really?
It's true. I know I don't look it, but I think one of the things that I've always taken from it is this shift in consciousness to understanding what is actually of value, and it's the things that are usually intangible, right? It's either character development or expanding your consciousness, learning how you exist and move in the world, which is another thing that I've really taken from just traveling. But it shifts. You can't have a working slave population if they're enlightened. And we look back on all of these cultures from the past, and they all have some kind of spiritual connection and in some way to practices with psychedelics.
Right. And this was we mentioned my forthcoming book, The Psychedelic Christ, which is subtitled The Lost Dose of the Son of Man. This was one of the real issues that the Jewish elders had with Jesus, because one of the legends, the Ark of the Covenant is involved in this story. It had disappeared 600 years before the time of Jesus. And there were these Jewish legends that when the Messiah appeared, he was going to bring the Ark of the Covenant back. And as I mentioned, the Ark of the Covenant is not just the golden box that we think of from the Indiana Jones movie. It's got the rod of Aaron, the flask of manna, which is the hallucinogenic star food, and the cruse of anointing oil, as well as the tablets, which is more likely a book representing higher consciousness. Well, when Jesus turns up and he feeds the 5,000 with a single loaf of bread, which sounds like a microdosing event to me, the Jewish elders are kind of like, where the actual bleep did you get that manna from? Because everybody knows that has been lost for 600 years there, Bubba. And now you've just shown up with it, and you are not saying you're the Messiah, but you're doing the job of the Messiah, and we're not happy with this at all. And this starts the whole chain of events then, where Jesus then identifies himself as the Son of Man, and this ultimately leads to the crucifixion and so forth. But this is a very important part of the Jesus story, certainly, is this possibility. I'm not saying it's 100% certainty that loaf was like microdosing psilocybin or some other psychedelic, but the effect, that's what it was. People were going just into absolute bliss and ecstasy in this moment. And when you look at this with an open mind, you're thinking, okay, what is going on in their neurochemistry that's causing this? Oh, it's the exact same thing that happens when you take maybe MDMA today or eat a psilocybin mushroom. This is something we're all trying to trigger, is to get the release of these molecules from within our neurosecretory system that can heal our body, put us in these states of ecstasy, bliss, joy, unconditional love, ultimately healing, and then expanded consciousness.
It's interesting to think, just to go back a little bit on what we were just talking about before, about getting, how these, ancient cultures really valued connecting with the world that they lived in, their environment, their spirituality and things like that. And we briefly touched on the type of societies that we live in today that don't pursue those things. That anybody that's done these things clearly knows that these have positive effects on your life. But it's not just that these things are outlawed now and these things are not readily available for the most part for people to experience, but not only that, but the world that we exist in creates things that are continually poisoning our systems and blocking these areas, whether it's pineal calcification or endocrine disruptors and blockers and all sorts of things and we're seeing the result of that with dramatic spikes and things like, mental health issues and all sorts of things, where people are extremely exposed to this type of stuff by the things they ingest. So it's interesting to think, I'm a Christian myself, like Kay, and I've never looked at any of those examples that you just shared, like Jesus feeding the 5,000 with the bread, through that lens before, which is very, very interesting to me to consider, because Kay even mentioned this at the very beginning of tonight, was that we're getting the Bible and different things that we have now may, not be entirely, maybe, I don't know, a lot of the ancient writings and different stuff that have gone into, actually a lot of religions have been heavily influenced over the years, over the last several thousand years, to where they are now. So anyways, it's very interesting. I've never considered that before. And that's a really cool lens to be kind of looking at some of these examples through. I actually had and not to carry on too much, but I had a chance to go to Lebanon and visit the site where Jesus performed his first miracle, turning water to wine. There's supposed to be, I think, maybe a couple places that have been labeled that, but this one was in Tyre, I believe. And it also sits on an ancient quarry site. Everything around that site is also a massive quarry. But you read in the Bible, they like to get down. They clearly loved to have a good time, and drink, party.
Yeah, the original Christian sacrament, was undoubtedly hallucinogenic, psychedelic. I mean, I have no doubt about that. And this, my trail into this also was through Mary Magdalene. I had written a book in like 2004, 2005 about legends around Mary Magdalene, and I learned that she was what was called a myrrhophore. These are the myrrh bearers. These are the priestesses that were always with Jesus everywhere he went. And they're called myrrh bearers because they are the priestesses who are knowledgeable in plants and plant medicine. They were the ones who blended the oils. And we don't usually think of Jesus as a purveyor or blender of sacred oils, but he and his little brother James, that's what they did. They produced something called the oil of joy that could heal the physical body and put you into an expanded state of consciousness at the same time. And it's likely that this was produced in conjunction with Mary Magdalene and the other myrrhophores. And of course, this gets us to the contents of Mary Magdalene's famous alabaster jar. And when you start to look at, myrrh, for example, is got traces of DMT in it. Acacia, the wood that the Ark of the Covenant was made of, has traces of DMT in it. In fact, many plants have dimethyltryptamine in them. And so when you start to look at this, and they name some of these plants and substances in the Bible, and when you actually research what they are, they're all psychedelic. And it leaves little to the imagination that this is what they were doing. And again, the purpose was as a sacrament to trigger the release of various molecules from within our neurosecretory system that, once again, were aimed at healing, but also a spiritual experience as well.
Yeah. And you think about gosh, there's so much to go into, but like Mary Magdalene specifically, her journey to Christ, the way that it's sort of told today is, you know, some people say she was a prostitute, other people say she was an alcoholic, she was a manic depressive. We
Right.
know that she was in an incredibly dark place, and Jesus found her and healed her on the spot. I mean, like literally within seconds, revolutionized her life in a way that, I don't know, like as you guys were talking, I just like sort of clicked with me. Everyone I know who's been through some type of addiction. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Mary had alabaster jar with the oil of Jesus for the feet. The Bible, they ridiculed her. Yeah, saying they could have, like, she could have made money from it.
Right.
And there was someone else in that story too. I think it was Lazarus's sister.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember
Mary,
her name.
another Mary.
Another
Right.
Mary, of course.
Yeah.
You can see like I'm a bit of a novice still when it comes to my biblical literacy. But when I look at so many people I know who've been through addiction, the two most common ways that they found healing were through psychedelics or through Christ.
Right.
And the sort of commonality and the crossover between those two things, I mean, eventually it just sort of sounds like it like blurs into one. And like you said, the sort of one or, you know, we've all sort of talked about one of the easiest ways to walk with God and to find the peace that Jesus promised is really through the use of all of these plants. Like if you really want to go in and do the therapy and get it done quick, you know, go eat some DMT or peyote or mushrooms and go talk to God for 12 hours. You'll come out way
transformed.
more healed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've watched people have full on life-changing spiritual experiences on DMT in the moment. You can watch it happen. Mm-hmm. Using DMT has had some of the most profound effects on me out of all the psychedelics. And it can be a pretty intense experience. I've actually helped people through that before in their first time trying DMT, and have watched them just have literally been able to see their eyes open. Their eyes are already open, but see their real eyes open in real time in front of me, and know that they just had a moment in their lives that it profoundly changed their future. And I've seen it happen, and it's wild that we are wired to be receptive in that way to these these experiences through the use of these plants and such.
It really is, Mike. I mean, that was something that got me interested in it as well, as this mystery about how our neocortex was activated. Neuroscientists don't have an answer for how the part of our brain that makes us human suddenly got switched on.
Right.
This was like 40,000 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Start at the beginning with this one, because that's like that's breaking my brain all over again. How do I not? I study people. How do I not know about this? So it was off and then it turned on. Explain it to me like I'm fine.
Kind of the timeline is, and this is, still current era research, so we don't have all the answers, but sometime between 200,000 years ago and 500,000 years ago, two chromosomes were, we think, artificially somehow fused together. The National Academy of Sciences say that it occurred and it was unnatural, but it triggers the neocortex, okay? And then it lays dormant. If it's 200,000 years ago, it lays dormant essentially for 160,000 years until 40,000 years ago. There's this sudden explosion of art, okay? And the neocortex, it means new bark. It's the new part of our brain. It's what makes us human. It's what enables us to do math, science, art, music, build cities, do everything that we think of as being human. Without that, we're just in the trees, right? And so from ancient alien perspective, where did aliens come down and tweak us? What actually happened? And in fact, neuroscientists propose that it could have been cosmic rays from Cygnus. That's Carl Sagan's theory. It was cooking meat that did this. because now the protein suddenly triggers this activation. They say, no, it wasn't cooking meat. It wasn't cosmic rays. It was actually group sex. Okay. And others say, no, it was extraterrestrials. And some say, no, it was actually psychedelics, mushrooms. It was probably psilocybin mushrooms. And my take is, well, what if it was like extraterrestrials who came down here and cooked a steak and had sex with us and gave us a mushroom afterward, you know?
That's like what the Anunnaki were kind of into, right? Like that was kind of that vibe.
The Anunnaki were totally into psychedelics. That's a really important part of that story that is very undeveloped. But no matter how it happened, 40,000 years ago is suddenly when we start producing art. The very first piece of human sculpture was found in Germany just before World War II. It's about 38,000 years old. It's a female human lion hybrid, upright. And it's like, why is that the first piece of human art? But it's after that we then start this quest to enhance ourselves that leads up right to this very moment where now we are so advanced, we're putting little nanoparticles in our neocortex, Neuralink, and we're wiring ourselves now 24/7 to AI. And this is the progression of human evolution. And it starts with this activation, probably by our ancestors gobbling little mushrooms they saw growing underneath pine trees.
So William, I have to ask this because I want to come back to because what I'm about to ask is going to shift topic a little bit, but you go into a lot of stuff in with transhumanism as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, maybe, and I'm sure you've, done quite a bit on this and different stuff, but where do you see us heading now that AI is fully here and arrived, and it's part of everyday use for those that are, if you're not using AI at this point in some part of your workflow and day-to-day life, you're behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so where do you see this progressing as we move forward with society?
Well, just very quickly, I've been writing about AI and transhumanism since 2002. And for 20 years, I was little David throwing rocks at the tech giants, calling them demons and saying AI and transhumanism is satanic and all of this. I mean, I was just repeating what Elon Musk was saying, and going along and thinking, yeah, it's definitely the mark of the beast and all that kind of thing. And then I, started to really rethink it. The Catholic perspective on baptism was one of the logic hurdles I couldn't get around. The Catholic Church says if aliens landed on the Vatican, in front of the Vatican, we'd baptize them.
Yeah, I saw that. When was that? When did they say that? That was years ago, wasn't it?
That was like 10 years ago or so. Yeah. Then it was followed up with, but think of it, they might not look like us, these aliens. And then the follow-up comment was, who are we to limit God's creativity? And I started applying that logic to AI and transhumanism and thinking, well, maybe God does want us to evolve this way. And paralleling my writing about AI and transhumanism was my writing about ascension, human transformation into a higher energetic form. And I started noticing it's interchanging. It's running at least parallel. I mean, AI and transhumanism, for years, I said, was a mocking or a mimicking of what Jesus did in his resurrection. I mean, Facebook, Meta, their aim is for us to upload the consciousness of everything that's in here into a cartoon version of myself and live in a simulated reality online.
That's wild.
That is an exact parallel to the Christian proposal of ascension and rapture, of transfiguring your body into light and dwelling in a new kingdom of heaven spread out on the world. Well, that's what's happening here. I just did a 5-day tour of Ancient Aliens, and I took about 50 pictures of the 5G towers that are sprouting up everywhere, because that's the infrastructure, this what will be the superstructure of this new reality that's spreading out all around us. And as you said, Mike, working with AI is no longer optional.
Right.
It's mandatory. We now live in an ecosphere of stuff running through us all the time. I mean, when I was sitting at the stop sign or stoplight today at Stanford and 32nd Avenue here in Phoenix, and that camera's looking at me, that's an AI camera. It's facial recognition. It knows exactly where I go. It sees me every day when I stop at that stoplight. It knows I'm probably going over to do some exercise, and after that, I'm going to go to the grocery store, right? And I'm tracked the entire way. And I'm realizing, yeah, that's part of the ecosystem. That's reality for us now. But it's an intermediate phase, because where the transhumanists ultimately want us to go with this is to drop our physical flesh and blood body altogether and ascend into the metaverse. And that is something I'm not encouraging people to do, but that is the trajectory here. And that's something that I just sort of pieced together over the past 20 years or so. And then, I started writing about AI in 2002. I learned about a US government report. In 2002, the United States Department of Commerce took all the big tech players to a meeting in Hawaii and said, some of you are working with bits or computers science. Some of you are working with atoms or nanotechnology. Some of you are working with neuroscience, trying to figure out how the brain works. And some of you are working with genetics. And the Department of Commerce told these major corporations, we want you to merge all four of those technologies into one seamless technology aimed at the human body to create a new golden age and of unlimited wealth.
Yes.
You can get that report. That PDF is still available online. It's a U.S. Department of Commerce report on enhancing human performance. Then
that's terrifying.
It really was. And that's what got me going. And what I realized, Kay, is like, wait a minute. One of my mythological specialties is looking at the cloaks that the gods wore. Mm-hmm. The Anunnaki had a cloak called the Malamu. It gave them superpowers, invisibility, enhanced abilities, luminosity. And they could give it to a human. And a human could then wear this Malamu, and now they were an Anunnaki. They became one of the mighty ones. That's why the Anunnaki were called the mighty ones, because they had this cloak of power, and they passed it along into the Egyptian tradition. It became the garment of Osiris. The Egyptians then passed it into the Jewish tradition. It passed into Christianity. And so I'm documenting this, and I'm suddenly realizing, wait a minute, this is what they're talking about doing. When they're wanting to create this technology aimed at our skin to give us all of these superpowers, longevity, increased intelligence, immunity to disease, all of these things they're talking about doing, that's exactly what the Anunnaki power cloak could do. And I realized that this is maybe something we're programmed to do, or we're attempting to recreate this through technology. But there was always an insistence in the ancient world, we can do this organically. We can do this without external technology. We can do it a lot faster with external technology, but all of us are capable of producing these incredible effects. And so I started just tracking it and realizing that this is where they're trying to move us, into this realm where maybe not all of us will have a power cloak like this transhuman body, but some will for certain. But ultimately what they are really seeking to do, and this became clear, I got a hold of a PDF of a PowerPoint presentation given by Nathan Bushnell in the year 2000. I got the PDF in 2020. Bushnell at that time was NASA's high priest of technology. And NASA early on realized, 1962, they realized we cannot, the human body is not able to survive in space. If the radiation doesn't get us, the loneliness does, pooping in a tube all the time. As Paul said, flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom of heaven. That is not just a metaphysical principle, it's a physical law. All right. This body is meant for this planet, not to go out into space, which means we're going to have to change our form to go out into space. And this is when the term cyborg was coined in 1962, when NASA started looking into how can we transform the human body so that we can go live in space, go live on Mars or on the space station or wherever. And so in the year 2000, Nathan Bushnell, NASA's high priest of technology, gathers the big tech players involved with NASA, Northrop Grumman, all of those types of guys, in a meeting in Orlando. And he lays out the history of the human race, saying 10,000 years ago, we were hunter-gatherers. Mm-hmm. Then came the first industrial revolution in England in the 1850s, steam. Then comes the second industrial revolution in the early 1900s, the third industrial revolution. We invent the transistor and start building computers. We live now in the fourth industrial revolution, where we're starting to blur or blend our biology with this technology. And what Bushnell said, which was so, at that time to me, so revolting, was that he says the next step is we're going virtual. Mm. And this is like Ready Player One type of thing, right?
Yeah.
This is NASA's head of technology saying, I know the history of humanity and our evolution, and here is where we're going. And here, if you're involved in this technology, this is what we're going to be writing checks for. And
Lord.
So what that tells me is that the AI and transhuman movement is military. Mm-hmm. It's coming from the top down. And so this stuff that we buy at Best Buy, originates at like DARPA or some of these other labs, and it trickles down. And ultimately their plan is to put us on the altar of this transhuman technology to make trillions of dollars. But there must be another reason above that as well. I think there's another intelligence that's involved here. And after a while, I stopped being so emotional about it and writing all these angry articles. I've got 50 of them on my website, these blah, blah, blankety blank, demons. And this is all demonic and everything. And then, I started what changed my thinking about it. And I'm not 100% in with AI and transhumanism. I'm more than 50% in with it now. And what changed it is this recognition is that we have always been hybrids. We've always been transhumans. I'm very much a believer that, as I mentioned earlier, this fusing of two of our chromosomes was not natural. And if it's not natural, then there was an intervention, probably a technological one as well, that set up exactly where we're at this moment, in this profound moment of transformation. So those are just some of my thoughts on that subject for right now.
Are you, when that comes around, are you hopping in the virtual world?
No,
me neither. Me neither.
I mean, I'm 63 years old, and it's not my world, right?
Yeah.
I'm very much on the organic ascension path. Mm-hmm. But I recognize there's no stopping this. Maybe a major solar flare.
I was about to say, like, as soon as like the first flare hits and all of this disappears. Someone on Twitter was saying it was going to be today. I think that was Ben Davidson over at Sun Weather News. I think that's his thing. He today was like, "Oh, it's going to hit," and like blah blah blah. Get your food ready. As if we don't all prep anyway. But that was the part that sort of always freaked me out about this idea of going virtual, uploading your consciousness, whether it is like Ready Player One or that show Upload. Right. Again, maybe I just come from too long of a line of hippies, but it's just not for me. And also, what happens when the lights go out? Do we just disappear, or do we then ascend organic from there? Like, there's that sort of gap that kind of freaks me out.
Just to keep us on the same kind of comparison here, joining like a virtual world kind of feels like doing a synthetic drug compared to like, doing something that's natural and feels harmonious with you.
Yeah.
I'm not about the virtual jumping into any of that.
But what we're feeling around here, and this is something I write about in the Psychedelic Christ, is we're challenged. Many of these technology guys believe in simulation theory, that all of this is just a simulation. We're living in a movie, and that this isn't the real world. And that, in fact, there's a source reality where the coders are from, a higher level. And I put together a remarkable number of statements that even Jesus makes when he says, I'm not from this world.
Right, he does say that.
Above. I'm from above, you are from below, suggesting there is this higher realm out there that we can ascend to. And to me, that is the challenge for all spiritually minded people in this milieu that we live in. Is the simulation people say there is no world beyond this one.
Right.
That this is the only world for you. You're just a non-player character, and the coders might live in a higher world. But spiritual people, we have to be motivated by this to show and be able to prove, like through near-death experience research or other means, that there is in fact this higher realm that we emerged from and that we're going to return to. And so what that ultimately means, and this gets kind of esoteric, but it's what also started to turn my thinking around AI and transhumanism, is this isn't me anyway. Okay. AI and transhumanism wants me to focus on, oh, you are this physical flesh and blood being, and that is it. Right. And we're going to augment it. We're going to mummify you. We're going to let you live for another 100 years by packing you full of this technology. And what that conversation always omits is the existence of the soul. The soul that animates this physical flesh and blood body. That's where we need to be putting our attention, because the soul is what's real. This is not real. This body changes constantly. Look at your pictures. You've changed from the moment you were born to this moment you are right now. The real world doesn't change. That's the realm of God, or whatever term you want to use. And so based on that logic, again, it's like, yeah, okay, I brush my teeth. I augment my body all the time by what I put in my mouth, what I allow myself to see and hear and so forth. And, it's interesting, because in the history of technology, there was an invention that came along that more than any other caused people to really lose it. And that was the invention of eyeglasses. The belief at the time was that if God wanted you to see, he would have given you a decent set of eyes. Who are you to put these lenses on your eyes and augment your God's creation? Right?
None of us.
Right? And we don't even think twice about it. And in my estimation, as long that's this, to me, the drawing line with AI and transhuman technology too, is that as long as I can put it on and take it off at will, and it's not mandated, I'm totally cool with it, right? It's when they want to start breaking the skin barrier and get inside of us with nanotechnology and other things against our will and mandating it, that I begin to have a problem with it. And so, but the bottom line is, we really need to take our emphasis off of putting all our emphasis on this, and figure out what is inside of this that manifested this body that is eternal.
That's such a beautiful way of looking at it. I got to jump in with like a question here, because as we were getting into this, this is what I love about this work. We look so much, you can't know what your future is going to bring unless you look at your past. Right. And one of the things that I think a lot of people focus on, particularly in the field of, ancient history, civilizations, even in, the sort of field of like ancient aliens, is this idea of like, when was the technology boom really? Did we have these repeating cycles that, we sort of reach peak technology, cataclysm hits, we're knocked back down? Or was it, there's this weird sort of boom in the 40s where all of a sudden we're doing a lot more than we did before? Was that alien related? But as you were talking, William, I guess what kind of like piqued into my mind was, could there be this idea that, psychedelics and this sort of, not even an idea really, this truth that they were so prolific throughout human history in their use, we actually just didn't really need to get to that point of mass technological revolution, not just because of like the,
Right.
the money side of it,
Yeah.
but because other than, incredible things like this, being able to like, hang out on the stream with your friends and have fascinating conversations.
Right.
For the most part, tech isn't really that great. And there are so many ways that it can be manipulated to remove our free will and to disrupt and become that kind of, was it Peter Thiel and the Antichrist type idea of it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything sort of in that, this idea that we didn't actually hit that peak technology because it was like, well, whatever, like you don't really need it. Like we get to
I
take
love that idea.
these substances
I do too.
transcend anyway.
What you're making me think about is Sam Altman, OpenAI, gave us ChatGPT. I know. He has said a couple of years ago, we need an MDMA stand on every corner in America.
Oh my gosh.
And ultimately, I mean, I think what he's getting at is that MDMA is a heart opener. It brings a sense of belonging and connectedness. And that is like the counterbalance to the technology. That you attain that kind of higher state through these organic substances. MDMA is obviously synthetic, but the effect that it produces is this incredible bliss, connectedness, heart opening, and so forth. That is the counterbalance to this technology that we need, and perhaps the ancients always had that in some manner and really didn't need the tech.
I mean, that would, the happiest people I know are the ones who live on their little homesteads and, maybe they eat mushrooms like a couple of times a year, but it's more of a microdose, and they raise their families, and they don't, they might watch the news every now and again just to make sure that, China hasn't invaded, but that's about it, really. There's no like deeper engagement than that. They seem to be the most, maybe not happy, but like the most content. I don't know. I guess those two things are sort of,
well, we're just constantly
really
being bombarded with the idea that we need things, that we need this, that we need that the keeping up with the Joneses, this idea, it's continually being reinforced that we're lacking somewhere. When really, if we could learn to just sit down and be still and be quiet, a lot of times we might be able to find be present in the moment with ourselves. That's one of the things that I love so much about traveling, is when I get out to these far out places, my phone doesn't work anymore. Sometimes sometimes it takes a few days for me to get used to that and stop reaching for my pocket and my phone.
Right.
But after a few days, my brain starts relaxing and my body starts connecting with my brain together. I start feeling wholly present and in the moment. And then all of a sudden, without fail, on every trip that I've taken, every kind of big trip that I've taken, I've had some kind of, and these are fully sober, I have some kind of moment of appreciation for where I'm at that will almost bring tears to my eyes, just for sitting there watching a sunset or looking over a mountain range or walking among a temple complex of an ancient site or whatever it is. I'll be in that moment, but it takes days of being away from that constant stream of telling me I'm not enough, telling me I'm lacking, telling me I need things that I don't have in my pocket 24/7 before I can have those moments and I'm able to just be present.
Right. And, when you mentioned that, it made me recall there's a psychological phenomenon, you probably experienced it yourself, that phones don't work in dreams.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
And it's because we aren't psychologically integrated with the technology. And that's part of the saving grace of where we're at. We're kind of in that gap right now where we're still using it, but we haven't fully merged with it yet. Therefore, the phone doesn't work in dreams.
That's crazy, because you're right. That's such a, and I've heard this before, but I hadn't thought about it for a very long time. If you do anything on a daily basis, as much as we all interact with our phones, you have dreams about it eventually.
Yeah.
And I've never once dreamed of using my phone.
I have, and I've tried, and it does not work.
Wow.
Yeah. And this has been studied. It's a actual phenomena. And again, it gives me a lot of hope that, okay, we can still keep it out here to some extent. Um, but yeah, Mike, I've had that experience that you referred to when you're looking at the sunset or a sunrise, or you're at this special place and you realize, oh wow, this is the real world. This is life.
Yeah, like that's what this is all about. Like that's the reason why we're here, why we're
Mhm.
not here for a particularly long time. Makes
Mhm.
us appreciate the time that we do have. The other thing about phones, and I don't know if you can see it on, I mean, I'm guessing you guys have iPhones maybe in front of you, chat. I'm sure you guys all have iPhones too. But
Mhm.
someone pointed this out to me and I can't remember who it was. You turn over your iPhone and if you can see the actual back of it, the logo, an apple with a bite out of it.
I know.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
That, as soon as someone pointed that out to me, it was like that blind spot, that scotoma or whatever it's called.
I know.
Never been able to unsee or unfeel that.
Right.
And it kind of set off my, not like my hackles, but you know, that kind of like that spidey sense that, you know, whatever it is, maybe it is part of that lost consciousness
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes me go, ooh.
Yeah, at that moment, right, Kay, that we're living in some kind of an archetypal drama here, and we've got to
Yeah.
sort this out, and that this is the value of our interest in these ancient civilizations and these myths and stories, because they're navigational tools for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Go down that road, stay over here, kind of a thing. And oh, if you're going to take a bite out of the apple, well, make sure you're covering yourself in some other way.
Well, I was going to say, like, going back to sort of like look at our past, what do you think some of those key pieces of knowledge, like, even if we could just do it, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be succinct. I'll be honest with you, like that bit you did on transhumanism. One of my friends wrote a book, my friend Grayson Quay, who's my editor when I worked for the Daily Caller, and he quit to write this book. And I was like, wow, that's cool as anything. And he sent me a copy, and I'm one of those awful people who reads like 5 books at any given time. So all my books right now are on parenting, but his is next. I started it and then I got pregnant, and then I was like, okay, I need to like focus in on this other thing that I've got to do that's very important. But and he did it from this sort of like very biblically centric perspective. So I guess with that in mind, but also this sort of idea that just like there's no, like, we could hang out here all day. I don't know how much time you have, but stop us, because we could literally hang out all day with you, William. But looking back at those ancient cultures, you know, we're talking about lost consciousness. We're talking about these deeper theories surrounding Christ, and almost working in like those other books that they say aren't part of the Bible, but didn't they decide that they weren't part of the Bible like a couple of 100 years ago type thing, which is also like weird for me.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think those sort of core lessons are that we've lost from these ancients that would really solve a lot of the problems we have today, beyond just sort of like maybe the normalized ritualistic and even like recreational usage of these drugs? Like, how much deeper does it go than that in terms of solving some of humanity's biggest problems? Because I think you honestly just solved the AI transhumanism problem for me. Like, you were talking about that, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I know how I feel about it now.
Okay, good. All right. I think it's kind of wrapped up with the AI transhuman thing, that some of these ancient cultures had a belief in human transformation into a higher being, like human transformation into an angel. They were focused on ascension, and that's one of the things that was taken away from us. This idea that, I mean, the Sumerians, when the Anunnaki come down, and they do whatever they did to put the image of themselves on humanity, maybe a DNA tweaking or whatever. The first thing they did with that first model human was they took them up to heaven, and it wasn't in a rocket ship or a flying saucer. It was a bodily ascension. And what they're establishing is that all humans have the capability of attaining that higher status. But then all of that was taken away from us. And I think that's one of the gravest mistakes or biggest issues that we've had, because if you've got a culture that is based on the idea that, hey, I am here to to transcend these limitations here, to activate latent capabilities within me, and I'm going to live by that higher moral code that goes with that. That is a completely different culture than the one that we have, which is based on worship of the almighty dollar and so forth. I mean, so that to me is one of the biggest lost opportunities or lost lessons, if you will.
Yeah, God, that's kind of sad. Was that Enoch that they took up? Was
No,
that
it was
Enoch?
Adapa was his
Adapa.
name. And then there was another in Samaria, they called him Enme Duranki, and that they think that maybe that's Enme Duranki is the Sumerian or Babylonian figure that they think Enoch might have been based on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
So much
again, you know, I love that story of Enoch where the Archangel Michael brings this oil and puts it on Enoch's body, and suddenly his body now is the same as the angels. You know,
That's wild. Yeah.
I had a weird experience like that. It wasn't with psychedelics. It was actually with Moldavite oil. You know, Moldavite, the comet asteroid, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I was at my friend's apartment in Venice Beach when I was very young and cool, and on billboards for legal weed. Actually, I was that young and cool. It was when they legalized weed. And she put some Moldavite oil on my wrists, my heart, and my third eye. And for a minute, I was in the way I described it, I was in a past life on this dirt road, and I was sitting on what would have been like a curb, but there wasn't a curb because it was all dirt. But on the sort of side of it, looking down, watching like this mule walk down the road. It was I've talked about this somewhere else before, but it's been a long time.
Wow.
And I came out of it and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, I'm going to die. I just lost my mind. And I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't bring it up with my friend, anything. She looked at me and was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. Like, and then we went out to, you know, whatever we were doing. It was Venice. It was cool before, you know, it all became homeless people.
Right.
And then about 5 days later, I did, it was like a spiritual healing session with this woman I'd never met before. And she described that entire scene to me perfectly.
Wow.
It was the first experience certainly I'd ever had beyond like finding Christ, which was just as weird, to be honest with you. Like, just came out of nowhere, completely stone cold sober. I was like, oh, I believe in God. But that was the first ever sort of more supernatural type experience like that I'd ever had. And then having it be validated by this woman that I'd never met before.
Wow.
And I've never been able to find decent Moldavite oil since then. So if anyone has any leads, you let me know. I don't know. That was sorry, I think one of my cats just jumped on the HVAC system outside. It scared the crap out of me. But it is it's kind of crazy, I think, how many people would probably think I was crazy if I described that experience to them. But then once you've had similar experiences and you read about how prevalent they've been throughout history, seems less and less crazy. It starts to seem like more crazy that we don't indulge with this more. Starts to feel like even more of a psyop.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is crazy. I never thought about that before. The correlation as well with between Michael and Enoch and that story.
It's so interesting.
Oh my gosh. That is so interesting. How do people in the Christian community, I mean, obviously, you know, with the book coming out and everything, what is the kind of response you get from the mainstream Christian community when you bring up these themes?
Well, I don't engage with them a lot. I will be, I anticipate. I'm looking forward to that because those that will be open, and I suspect there will be a lot that aren't. But the book it's biblically based. I mean, it's not playing loose and hard with the facts and that kind of thing. It's here, and when you, from a neurochemical perspective, you know, when they're saying, yeah, Jesus puts these people in a state of total bliss, full stop. Okay, that's a neurochemical event. And that same neurochemical event is triggered by psilocybin or DMT. And then it just suggests that that's what is happening there. So I'm not throwing rocks at Christianity. I've long written about Christianity from a mystical perspective. I'm not one of those that says Jesus never existed and that sort of thing. I'm just simply asking, what was the original sacrament? And when you go back and look historically at the possibilities, it's pointing to one thing, a psychedelic.
It's interesting too, because a lot of times, especially in the church, if you're reading the Bible and you're taking it literally, right? The explanation is, miracles, right? Divine intervention and all sorts of things like that. And oftentimes, because there were, in the Bible, even in the New Testament, there's miracles being performed at that time. And so, and maybe I just need to get out more and travel, because I hear about miracles still happening to this day in the church on missionary trips and things like that, and stuff like that. But what I don't. This seems very. We were created to be able to have these experiences and hold these images in our head through these moments, and having these experiences with interactions with stuff like DMT, for example. I've had plenty of experiences on DMT that would, if I was trying to write that down 1,000 years, 2,000 years ago, would sound like, and it felt that way, like a spiritual event, and a miracle in ways, right?
Ezekiel.
Yeah.
And I mean, my whole path really, I started out in 1982 at a small Southern Baptist college in Nashville. I know. I was a musician, and I had moved to Nashville from Detroit, and I intended to get into the music business. And there was this small Southern Baptist college that offered an entertainment music business program, and that's where I went to school. And I quickly learned that this wasn't going to be the path for me, but the Southern Baptist route anyway. But I got heavily interested in the Christian mystics, and human transformation became my specialty. And I'm like an art aficionado, and my specialty is the transfiguration icons. How is it possible, as the first Christians were taught, that you could look at an icon of Jesus morphing into light in the transfiguration, and you could receive that same light or frequency through that icon and begin the process of transfiguring yourself? That concept just completely upended my world, and I've spent 20 years writing about it and researching it and so forth, and realized that there is a whole nother dimension to the Christ story that we're only just now coming into understanding of, because we have an understanding of quantum physics. We know what the matrix is. We know about beings coming down from above. We know so many more things than they had understanding of at the time Jesus was walking around. And it's tremendously exciting to me to be able to crisscross a little bit and to ask these questions about how is this possible?
Yeah, that's like the coolest job flipping ever, dude. Like, and I love that God was the one who guided you to that. Like, if you hadn't been in that world, in that pursuit, where would you have ended up?
I am truly so grateful, Kay. Thank you for that.
Well, we are too. And I've got to ask, I know we've been here for a minute, but I'm going to keep you on for a little bit, and then we will super chat. We will answer the questions. I promise.
Yeah, they're a bit tonight.
So just in terms of because it's part of the title of the show, and I don't want to miss this opportunity, but in terms of everything that we've discussed tonight, how do broader subjects like Stargates, wormholes, those sorts of themes, is there a correlation or a crossover with the psychedelics and the sort of psychedelic nature of Christ? Because to me, I would describe what I went through. I don't know, maybe I'm a novice, maybe I'm a little bit ignorant, but when you hear some of the stories of what people have experienced going through Stargates, and their experiences with them, I really don't know that much about wormholes, actually. But is there sort of a crossover and correlation within those themes? And if so, could you please expand on that? And if not, could you please enlighten me?
Well, you're talking about like a crossover with Jesus and Stargates?
Yeah. Like, is there the Christ-like or spirit, like the sort of spirituality themes within those sorts of areas of exploration too?
Oh, definitely. I mean, definitely. And especially when you study like the Christian art of the Transfiguration, starting there,
Okay.
you'll see, I don't know if I've got,
You have a lot of books there.
yeah.
It's amazing. I
Here's
love
one.
it.
This is
I
about
know,
the
I'm so jealous.
Transfiguration. You can sort of see Jesus with his star body behind him.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he's bursting into light at this moment.
Yeah.
His face shines like the sun, and his clothes become bright as light. And going back to the earliest Christian art, when they portray the Transfiguration, he's up on Mount Hermon probably, and in the art they portray this gateway behind him because he's ripped a hole in the fabric of space-time. I mean, the number of times in the Bible where it starts with the heavens opened really started to get my attention because we don't talk like that anymore. We call that a rip in the fabric of space-time. We call that a Stargate. It's the art that really portrays it. In the Ascension, when Jesus ascends in a cloud, that looks like what today we would call an Alcubierre warp bubble. You know, that NASA is working on these warp drives where they would put the craft inside of this magic bubble of space-time, that the craft would remain still, but space bends all around it. And you can directly apply that. One of my good friends is Dr. Travis Taylor. He's on a show called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. He was for a number of years the chief scientist for the U.S. government's UAP program. And he's a devout Christian as well. We've had numerous conversations about this in Christian art, showing these magic bubbles that I used to interpret as stargates or wormholes, but now understand them to be more like an Alcubierre warp bubble. So there's a definite crossover with that, and it begins with Adam and Eve going through the gate of Eden. I mean, they're in a higher frequency realm before the fall. Then they go through the gate of Eden. And in esoteric Judaism and Christianity, this is after we go through that gate of Eden, the first thing God does in the book of Genesis is he gives us coats of skin. And traditional Christianity, they say, well, those coats of skin were like animal skins. You know, they were cow skins or whatever. But in the esoteric version, the coats of skin are our human bodies. And the thinking is that when Adam and Eve originally dwelled in Eden, they were beings of pure light and pure love. They did not have a physical flesh and blood form. It's only when we fell into this frequency, into this vibration, that we then get these coats of skin. And then all of human history becomes a quest to get back through that gate of Eden. And then you get story after story of Jacob's ladder. He lays his head on a stone, goes into a dream, sees a ladder with ascending into the heaven, with angels ascending and descending on either side. You have so many gateway stories in the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how exciting of a book the Bible is a lot of times.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
You kind of have to, you know, it's one of those books that you have to keep rereading.
You're absolutely right.
You know, to pick up on these things, because every time you reread it, you pick up on new details and parts that you missed before, and all sorts of things.
It's kind of it's kind of like, I don't know, a quick analogy is like 300 years from now, and all this tech evaporates, but you know, there's some book that's left, like the Bible, and it says, and William put his hand and he spoke into the microphone, and you know, you could read that 300 years from now and go, yeah, William put his face or mouth towards the microphone and he spoke. But what most people don't do is ask, what's a microphone?
Right.
Right. But if you click on the microphone, you're like, oh my gosh, there was this device that they had that they could speak and amplify it and that sort of thing. Right. And that's what I find so fascinating about the Bible, is that you'll be going along I mean, this happened to me once on Easter Sunday in Nashville. My wife and I went to an Easter service, and it was an Episcopalian service, and the minister's there reading, and he's saying, and yeah, and in the story of Seth, he goes to the Garden of Eden, and he gets the seeds of life, and he's denied it, but the Archangel Michael tells him to come back, and he'll give him the seeds of life again, and then they get the seeds of life, and they make the oil of life out of it. And happy Easter to you, and we'll see you next week. And I'm like, what did you
Wait, what? Yeah.
that there's an oil made from the seeds of the tree of life that Adam was denied at first by the, you know, that's the kind of thing that I love about both the Old and the New Testament and all the apocryphal books, all of them. It's like, my gosh, they're just loaded. The human imagination, if all of that is made up, okay, I don't believe it is, but if it is, the human imagination has come up with some amazing ideas for thousands of years.
Yeah.
There's truly nothing new under the sun. You know, one of my favorite stories, I'm into all these Stargates and wormholes and time travel and light body and all that stuff. The Celts, excuse me, the Nordics, they have this legend. I can't remember the guy's name because it's like 40 letters long. He's an inventor, and he creates the ship of the gods. And the gods can ride around on this ship into the heavens, but when they don't need the ship anymore, they fold it up and they just put it in their pocket.
Or maybe a handbag.
Maybe a handbag, right? They put it in the handbag. And I'm like,
maybe that's what those things are.
How could you think of something like that 3,000 years ago?
Yeah, seriously, that's crazy.
Humans have always thought like this, you know? Why?
Because I like science fiction, and oftentimes I'll go back and watch old science fiction movies or shows from the 80s and things, and you know, so take Star Trek for example, and you go and you look at the way they designed the set and stuff. They tried to make it as futuristic as possible, but you know, they had no idea where we'd be now in 2025, so they didn't, you know, even in science fiction, you know, there's certain things that we're doing now that they didn't have any concept of to be able to include just from 50 years ago.
Exactly.
It's prophetic in its own way. Yeah.
Or we're programmed. It's in our DNA or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think that's one of the ways to sort of like open up that consciousness, right? Kind of go in full circle. Handbags were for the shrooms and the cannabis. Oh, that's funny, shaman.
Yeah, the pine cone or the oil, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure.
We do need to get into super chats though. Okay. Before we forget, because we've had some good ones tonight. We got some great questions and commentary. If you're okay to hang out for a little bit.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that would be. Oh my gosh, yeah! Okay. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for this long. This is like bliss. Thank you. But yeah, Sammy, if we want to start throwing up some of these super chats, and we'll get into
throw up the super chats, and we've got some other questions that we'll get into after we.
Yeah, for sure. Goodbye. Let's do this one.
Was the cloak, breastplate, and cross star on the Anunnaki steel? That's from People Will Tell You. Thank you for the super chat.
Okay, so am I reading this that does when I think of the cloak and the breastplate, I'm thinking like the armor of God, the garb of the Israelite high priest, or is this coming from the Anunnaki? Is that what the person is asking?
Yeah, it's to do with the Anunnaki. So I don't think we got into this in the show, but I think this individual knows their stuff when it comes to the stories. But was the cloak, breastplate, the cross on the Anunnaki steel? So like, was it made of steel? Am I reading that correctly?
Steel. I think he meant was it stolen from the Anunnaki or the Anunnaki steal it? This cloak is really fascinating because a lot of people, including myself, when you first learn about the Anunnaki, you're probably hearing it from Zecharia Sitchin or something like that. And Sitchin did not know the word Malamu. He never mentioned it once in any of his books. This is something that was really introduced among scholars like in the 2000s. Okay. And Sitchin had written his book in the 70s. He was writing into the 2000s, but he was not aware of this concept that the key significator of the Anunnaki was this garment, their power garment called the Malamu. It's spelled Melammu. And it's essentially means divine radiance or divine power. It's something that was tangible because it was transmittable, and it was also possibly a teaching. It could even be a vibration. But the point is that the Anunnaki wore this power garment that made them luminous or radiant, rainbow colored is the description. And it gave them their superpowers. And a human like Gilgamesh or others could acquire this garment. When I learned about it, I'm thinking that's incredible. I mean, because there is all these stories. You think of Elijah going up into the heavens in a whirlwind and in this chariot of the gods. And as he's going, he turns to his priest, Elisha, and transmits to him his mantle, his cloak, his power garment. And then Elisha now can do the same thing that Elijah did. Elijah used that garment to part the waters of the Jordan. He used it to heal people. So in my mind, that's an example of the Malamu. And when I think of the cloak and the breastplate together, I'm thinking of the Israelite high priest who's putting on the armor of God before he crosses over the veil in Solomon's temple to interact with the Ark of the Covenant. And I do believe that, to answer this person's question, that it does all ultimately go back to the Anunnaki.
I
Wow.
love that. That's incredible. Wow. I'm gonna have to read into this more.
Yeah, same. I think this was posted at the same time, so it must have been something about what we were talking about. But William, did you ever hear of a cloak of eyes when worn? You could see across the universe. The eyes would be open when put on. I feel like that's kind of what you're just talking about, huh?
No,
Yeah.
it sounds like he's describing one of the seraphim, the seraph angels whose bodies have many eyes on them. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. The cloak of eyes, when worn,
Cloak
you
of
could
eyes.
see across the universe. Anthony Shaddix, I'm going to make a note of that. We'll try and bring it up next week. So we have a shorter interview next week. So I will have more time to dig into questions and things like that. Maybe do some real-time research. So cloak of eyes.
Yeah, I haven't heard of the cloak of eyes. It sounds very cool, though.
And I don't know very much, but as far as I know, for the seraphim, that's just how they are. It's not like they put something on to be that way, you know. That's so.
Wow.
We'll do some.
So we had.
Oh,
sorry.
Spend this on psychedelics.
Mr.
I don't think any of us do any psychedelics.
And then he left a comment here. He said, "Hi, Wolf. Would you be so kind to ask your guests to elaborate about the legendary powers of the Chintamani stone?" Thanks.
Yeah, the Chintamani or Chintamani stone. Yeah, fascinating story. I first learned about it. It's called the wish-fulfilling gem. It's a concept from Tibetan Buddhism.
Ooh.
And it's a stone that fell from heaven. It's got like consciousness powers. I wrote a book like 1997, 1998 called One Foot in Atlantis about the occult background of World War II, because I had learned just randomly that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 1933, sent a Russian mystic named Nicholas Rurik to Mongolia in search of this stone, the Chintamani or Chintamani stone, the wish-fulfilling gem. And they were actually in a race with the Nazis to acquire this stone. And it's a stone that is then known throughout history. It's thought to have been part of the ring that King Solomon wore, that he could control the jinn or that built the Temple of Solomon. It's considered to be the stone in Lucifer's crown. There's all of these myths and legends, and ultimately it becomes the basis for the legend of the Holy Grail, which is also considered to be a stone that fell from heaven.
Wow.
I mean, fell from
I wasn't
heaven.
even
Yeah.
familiar with that.
Yeah.
That's like a whole episode right there. We're
It
gonna
is.
have to
That-
we're gonna
that
have to get
whole-
you back on to talk about
that
that
is
at
a
some
whole-
point.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Love to share that
Sounds very
anytime.
fascinating.
And
Yeah.
anytime, like, when you go back and look at everything that was going on in World War II with what the Nazis were trying to explore, and then the sort of correlation and timing then with America's sudden fascination and interest with that stuff, sort of just slightly post-war, I guess. I guess it was involved in the war too, but they just kept it under wraps.
Big time.
All gets very exciting. I love that stuff. Okay, next one. Sorry, we're short on time, but thank you, Mr. Wishmore. That was a great question.
Yeah, great question.
I stopped messing with the chat, Sammy. Sorry.
I think those are the only questions, but we gotta, highlight this one, of course.
All right.
Okay.
Sedona Connections here with us tonight.
I know we
Thank
briefly, skipped over that, but just to bring it back.
I
said,
Greg.
Back when I was younger, growing up, you could get a hit of acid for $5. I don't think that they're going for that price anymore.
In this economy, $10 tax.
Thank you, Craig.
Maybe here in Eugene, I was like, I don't think any of us do psychedelics anymore. But
I've never done anything.
You've never done anything. You're perfect.
Okay.
No.
Just drink water.
Yeah, I drink my tea and my hot.
Well, so that's what I said. I said, what about Moldavite oil for K?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's a good one. Oh, Craig actually had another funny question here. Let me bring this up. Not to put you on the spot, William. But before this is over, William needs to show us his. Okay, way to bury the lead. Heck yeah, no. We don't have to get into guitars, but again, we're going to save that for another episode. What is your favorite guitar that you own, though?
Oh my gosh. I guess it would be this one.
I was going to say.
Hang on. Let me stand up and grab it.
Yes, guitars.
Nice.
My uncle made this guitar. His name was Richard Schneider.
Wow.
He was a world famous luthier. He worked for Gibson, and he was trying to build the perfect guitar from the perspective of sound physics.
Mm.
And my father, when I was, I grew up in Detroit, and one of my fondest memories growing up was going to his guitar studio in downtown Detroit. And just absorbing this, just smelling the wood and the varnish and watching what he did. So this is a guitar that he made for Gibson. It's the prototype. It eventually became a guitar that was endorsed by Peter Frampton.
Wow.
So it's just kind of like my ultimate treasure.
Yeah, I bet. That is pretty cool.
Understandably so. God, I thought I was cool having my dad's like old Fender here and at a Mint. But no one's heard of mints. But
anyway,
oh my gosh,
I love guitars, and anyway,
that's very cool.
Me too.
My thing.
Are you gonna play anything at the conference? Now I want to come to the conference so I can sing. Oh,
well,
yeah. Okay.
Let's plug William's stuff here real quick. We haven't done that because you have a couple things.
Oh wait, I have a question really quick before we move on, because we kind of moved past it really quick. Hold on, I'm trying to find is this the this, because I like art, I'm an art person. Was this the sculpture that you were talking about with the lion face?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it lion.
This is really
cool.
It's
female though. So yeah, that's it. And what is so amazing to me about this, I'll just very quickly say this, and then I've got to run if that's okay.
Oh yeah.
In the Egyptian tradition, they tell us that Ptah fashioned the human body, and he's even got a double helix in his hieroglyph. And his female counterpart is Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess. And when you put those two pieces of information together, I mean, if it's true, you have this god from Sirius that fashions the body. And the very first piece of art, the oldest, or let's say one of the oldest pieces of art, this probably isn't the first piece of art, but it's definitely one of the oldest, top 1 or 2 or 3.
Wow.
Just so happens to be an image of Ptah's wife. How does that happen? Right?
Yeah.
And this was found in Germany just before World War II. It was found
Really?
in many pieces. They resurrected it, so to speak, by piecing it back together. But they call this the Lion Man, but there are many that believe it's actually a female.
Yeah.
Upright lioness. That's Sekhmet walking around the forests of Germany 40,000 years ago.
That's wild.
And
yeah.
they go into detail about how this would have been, how revered it would have been, that some artist was given the ability to spend time to sculpt this. It was handled. It was something they would have passed around, almost as if, there's some ceremony that's involved with this. But it just blows my mind that it so perfectly corresponds with Sekhmet.
That's wow. Okay. I'm going to make some notes to get into that as well in a future.
Because the lion people,
I see you working
the
in
lion
Google Docs
people
already.
Yeah.
the lion people show up in almost every tradition, at least in Western civilization, and they play this immense role. And I'm not saying that there were these, humanoid lion or leonine type beings, but who knows? Maybe there were. But I'm thinking they were probably doing some medicine ceremony or something, and had this interaction with this being, and then someone sculpted it.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, I really, really want to pick your head about the connection between psychedelics and Egyptian symbology and how those kind of show up through psychedelic experiences because I personally have experienced that a lot, but I might have to just pick your head about all that in person.
Anytime, I would love to, because I started going to Egypt
conference
in 2004, and I had no idea about any of that until like 3 years ago. And it suddenly just answers all the temple walls suddenly come to life when you realize this is all about plants and plant medicine.
Right.
They're thanking the gods. Oh, thank you for giving us this medicine so we can now see you and interact with you and so forth. It's a completely different experience with that little bit of insight.
That's incredible.
Seriously.
Well, William, thank you so much for all of the time you've given us today. Where can people find you? Where would you like people to find you? We've got the website up here.
WilliamHenry.net. Yep, that's the perfect place. And you can learn about my tours and upcoming appearances. I just can't wait for Scottsdale. I'm so happy to be a part of that event. And can't just thank you all enough for including me in that weekend.
Oh my gosh, no.
So happy to have you on tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us. This is really
Anytime.
cool.
I hope we do this again soon.
Oh, freaking cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys.
You have a blessed rest of your day. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Okay. Bye now.
Bye.
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 Let's see. Go back to us, dude. That was so I don't cough a lot on the screen, but that was so fucking cool.
That was amazing.
Holy shit.
And you guys make sure you go check out his website because he's got tours running right now to I've got it right here, France and Egypt. He's got 2 tours running, so you can travel with him and check out his website. What a blast.
That was amazing.
Yeah, we got into some really cool topics that I was really looking forward to doing outside of our norm.
Yeah. But I think it adds so much in that there are so many common threads throughout history, and there are so many different, in the same way like there's so many different ways you can interpret the stories of the Bible. There's so many different ways that you can interpret every truly like historical discovery that we found. I think one of the things that we go into a lot, or like so much on the stream, is leaning into like the Occam's razor of it all. But maybe we do need to lean into more of that sort of lost consciousness theme.
Yeah, I've always felt like, as much as I'm into traveling to these megalithic sites and documenting them, that really, if you run everything out to its logical end conclusion, there's only one thing that's the most important thing, and that's really your soul. Like, and these bigger spiritual questions, because ultimately, I mean, that's generally what motivates all of us, is where we're at spiritually in life and how we're interacting and behaving with the world.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a bigger question that I'd want an answer to than, where am I going when I die, especially if it's eternal.
Yeah.
And these are great conversations to be having and digging into. And the psychedelic aspect of it all is quite fascinating. Some of the things he was sharing about, interpreting these interactions and different things in the Bible was quite new to me in terms of viewing it from that vantage point. So,
yeah. Well, someone said in the chat, and I want to pull this up before I forget. So, Hamburglar123, great screen name, firstly. Says the Bible is wild if you can get past what they teach in kindergarten and Sunday school. Unfortunately, many adults still read it that way. That's true. But I also feel like the Bible, most people will get what they need out of it. And then there are folks like us who are like, let's dive headfirst into this, because what I need is that depth of exploration. So Hamburglar, stick around because we're all very much into this. And then F1 Hatchet gifted 1 Wandering Wolf membership. Legend. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing that. Amazing.
So many nice people.
And then B Buster coming over the top with 10 Wandering Wolf memberships. Thank you.
That's insane. Thank you, B Buster. There were a lot of people in the chat tonight. I know Rue was in here for a while. We had Mike and Dave. Mike and Dave from the Multiverse. I'll be on with them.
Illegitimate Scholar was in here. Sophie, Jeff up north, Trish.
That's so funny. I'm going to pull up this other comment from Stoned Gamer. K, you're a mother now. Watch your language, damn it. In all fairness, my mom doesn't swear that much, but you should hear my father. No, I'm definitely going to be one of those mums who's just like, what an effing shit show. No. Jeff up north.
Jeff up north. Yeah. Dude, thank you.
Oh, we need to do the giveaway, Mike, before we forget.
Oh my gosh,
Otherwise, we were going to forget about that. Shit.
Sammy, you're up.
Okay.
Sammy.
Okay. By the way, Jeff already won one, so he can't win again.
We're gonna clean up the.
We're gonna clean up the chat.
Chat.
I feel like Jeff always like accidentally wins all the extra ones. Dude, have you also heard this theory that most of our water sources, before they were polluted with like fluoride and glyphosate and all those sorts of things, were also full of like psychotropic algae? And so I didn't talk about this. One time I was in Croatia and I was there with my boyfriend at the time and his family. And they went out and caught a bunch of bream in the bay off, I can't remember the city. I'll know it like if I see it, but I can't remember what it was. Went fishing, caught this like little bream, took it home, ate it. My ex was like 6'2". His mother was 6 feet tall. They're a large family. They were very tall, big, former Yugoslavian people. We all ate this fish. It was a great time. About 2 hours later, I'm trying to walk out of the apartment and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? The floor is made of lava. I hear, the family's all crying, laughing in the other room at something. And I'm like, I'm going to die. Yeah, it turns out it's like not super common, but the bream eat this algae that has psychotropic.
No way.
Things in it, and then we had consumed the bream, and I'm like, at that point probably like 100 pounds soaking wet, like all 5'2" of me. So they all have like a super chill night, and I spend 2 days just like, stuff's not right.
5'2"
right.
With 2 personality.
It was very intense. I'd forgotten about that actually, but yeah.
And now we're worried if we're being vaccinated against our will from the food we eat.
Don't even
bring that up.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny as well when William was talking about like the transhumanist stuff. Oh, have you talked to a creationist like Dr. Jason? Like, no. We'll add them to let me add this person to the list. Dr.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar. Jason. Jose Taco, what's up, man?
Yeah, what's up? Jose Taco.
Psychedelic honey from Nepal. Yeah, aren't there
here all night?
Animals that is it bears that go out of their way to eat something that is like naturally. It's like, do you know what I'm trying to? Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
trying
I
to
do know what you're talking about. I've seen a nature show where they do this. Yes. I don't know if it's bears.
I don't remember. I guess I could.
It's funny watching those shows where the animals are getting all messed up, right? Or drunk on like fermented whatever, honey.
I love that.
Or the monkeys and things, and dolphins will
yes,
knock around puffer fish and get high.
That's so good. You ever give cats catnip? That's enough for me. That's like hours of entertainment for me.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna give my cat some catnip tonight.
Heck yeah. That's gonna be a chill one. Gonna go talk to God for 12 hours. Wait, okay. Yeah, before we forget, who won the ticket? Because we're coming up on 2 hours.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I was right.
Thank you everyone for hanging out. This was such a fun one. Anthony Shattuck 7594. Congratulations. You just won yourself a ticket to the Quest for Ancient Civilizations conference. And if you can't make it in person,
that is awesome.
You get a live stream.
So what you're going to want to do is DM me or email me directly. Include your handle here in a way where I can identify you and such, and we'll get it going and get that ticket to you. We've given away, how many tickets have we given away now? 4? This will be our 5th ticket.
4 or 5, yeah, something like that.
4 or 5 tickets. Awesome. Yeah, I hope that you're able to make it, Anthony. So yeah, hit me up on my socials, or you can shoot me an email, and I'll make sure to get that ticket to you ASAP.
Heck yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Sorry, I gotta pull up Hamburglar 123 Puffer Puffer Pass. I love that. That was fast. That was a good joke. I love it. Polar bears apparently go out of their way to eat humans. Yep, that's why bears are freaking terrifying.
Starting with the ass, right?
I hate bears. I'm so scared of them. What is the point in them? You can't even eat them.
They're literally monsters.
Big.
You've never seen one in real life.
Why are they friend shaped?
No,
why friend shaped? Except for the big pointy teeth and sharp claws.
They're pretty cute. Yeah,
they're pretty cute.
Well,
I found a black bear in the back field once, and I thought it was I didn't know what it was, so I just started walking towards it because I'm a fucking idiot. And I was on the phone with my parents, and I got close enough where I was just like, "Oh, that's not a fox. That's not a fox. It doesn't have a tail. It doesn't have a tail. It doesn't have a tail." And I was just like legged it back to the house. To this day, my husband's like, "It wasn't a bear," and I'm like, "It was a bear." Yeah, very friend shaped, but except for the claws and the teeth. But
I just looked up what animals get high, and the Google AI response said wallabies, reindeers, birds, jaguars, and humans.
Yeah, reindeer eat mushrooms.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Yeah,
that's how they fly Santa around.
Exactly.
So yeah, you know what? This is good to bring up right now. We have a video release for Easter Island coming out on Thursday, followed by a live stream to discuss. It's a good one. It's from my trip over to Easter Island, and we all is this our first video that we've collectively worked on together?
It is.
It is.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, guys.
Yeah. It's really good.
I think it's great.
I'm like, so I get so nervous about it, but like I know it's going to be great because all I had to do was put words in order, and then Mike says them, and Sammy does her incredible visual magic.
I was watching you work in real time today, and that would have taken like what you did today in one day would have taken me a week. So I can communicate, but your organizational skills in terms of how your brain works is amazing.
Mike put up with so much fucking shit for me today, and the worst of my attitude.
Not true at all. You're an angel.
I was like trying to write while being on the phone with UPS, and he's like, "Hey, can you hop on a call?" I was like, "No, call up on a fucking call. I'm with UPS, and everyone's gonna die." Well, we did. We got that first draft done, and
we did. Yeah.
We'll get it fleshed out and perfect now before the conference, and.
Yeah, Michael Button next week.
Yeah, Michael Button next week. Hell yeah.
And then the week after that, we may have a big surprise for everybody. I think you guys are going to want to tune into that one. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but hopefully, fingers crossed.
Oh
And
my
then
god.
we have a 7 p.m. Central Standard Time Thursday release of the Easter Island video. And it's going to be a premiere, so you can talk to us in chat and then hang out afterwards for the live stream where we're going to shoot the shit and also answer questions if you guys have any about Easter Island, traveling there, and the different things that I documented while I was over there. It's going to be a good one.
I'm so excited.
And then we're leaving for Egypt on Saturday.
We leave Saturday for Egypt.
Aw.
And there are people in the chat tonight that are going to Egypt with us, which is amazing.
Get your Egypt swag.
Get your Egypt swag. And get your tickets for Japan too, but mostly your Egypt swag right now. Heck yeah. I kind of want some Egypt swag.
I want some Egypt swag.
I like those sweaters. Yeah.
There's no point in me buying clothes right now, though, because I'm too fat for all my clothes.
I think I want that sweater.
I love the sweaters.
Can I give myself a discount?
Yeah.
Sammy's incredible design skills right there.
And, perfect, Anthony. Great. I'll double check my email. Thank you. We're gonna get that ticket over to you.
Okay.
Yeah, check out Japan. Let's pull that up real quick because I do want people to know that we launched that tour. We launched this tour here to Japan 2 weeks ago, I think, and with Nerd Products and the Forbidden Frontier, and we hit our max number, and so we had to go see if we could increase the number of tickets that we could sell for this tour because we felt so bad it sold out so quick, and we have. So we were able to get it. The website now will show you, I think, 60 spots. And we're at something like 43 now today. Tickets sold. So it's going to be a big tour. There's a manga anime add-on at the end in Tokyo. We hit Hot Toys, Godzilla store, manga museum, Hello Kitty temple, all sorts of stuff. So, and then it's megaliths. The main part of the tour is megaliths with a bunch of nightlife stuff all through the week. It's going to be amazing.
That's so freaking cool. I wish I could join you all.
WanderingWolfProductions.com. You can find all of that stuff and the links.
And
then the conference.
Oh yeah, the conference. Duh.
We go to Egypt, and then Sammy and I, and as soon as we get back, we're basically going straight into a conference. So
yeah, you
guys.
guys.
I'm gonna see so much of you in the next month.
I know, right? Yeah, you might get sick.
IRL.
It's
dope.
Yeah, y'all are going to be sick of each other. I don't think so. I think there's going to be so much love. So much more love. Oh, there's so many cool people at the conference. I can't wait. I'll be tuning in. I'll be tuning in on the live stream. I'll be hanging out remotely. It's so funny as well.
Make the Sedona and Austin ones.
Yeah, definitely. I actually talked to my parents about bringing them to the Austin one as well because I thought that would be fun.
That's gonna be so big time. You have to be at the Austin. What's your
we're
date
definitely
again?
Gonna be at Austin. It's Sedona that's the one where it's like, well, we'll be new parents by like 2 months, so we'll
that'll
see.
Be tough.
But no, we're all in for Austin for sure. I said that to John before you and I even started working together, Mike. I was like chatting to Mike over at Wandering Wolf. We might end up working together, but he's throwing this conference next year, and I'm determined to somehow speak at it or moderate it or do something fun with it, and we're going. And he's just like, we're going to be new parents, and I'm like, he was like, cool, yeah, that sounds good. No, there will actually be a show next week. We did a pre-record, and I will be hosting and answering all of your questions. So if you guys want to get me on social media ahead of time, we have Michael Button. The pre-record is already done, and it's great. I might be biased, but I thought it was amazing. So we'll have Michael Button same time next week.
Yes.
And then I'll be hanging out, I'll be hosting, we'll be doing
Mike's a fun dude and very knowledgeable.
So well spoken.
Yeah. He's from the home counties. He's
very
hot.
British.
Secretly posh. I thought the funniest thing though, and this isn't like too much of a spoiler for next week, but Mike forgot that he had a degree in ancient history, which was the funniest part of the whole show for me. He was just like, well, I'm not like an expert in this. I was like, you got a flipping degree in it. He was like, well, yeah, I guess. But yeah, brilliant.
He knows his stuff. That's why he's blowing up so much. His videos are amazing.
Yeah.
And our time with him was great. Like Kay said, she'll be opening up, hosting, doing the live stream, playing the pre-record for you guys and answering questions or anything like that afterwards. And it's going to be really good. I'm excited to see the reaction to that one. He's doing amazing work.
He is, and he's definitely got that like he knows his stuff, but he's also got that like it factor that I think we talked about before.
It's the hair. I don't understand how he got such perfect hair. Did you see that?
Yeah, but like for me, when I look at him, he just looks so like quintessentially British to me.
Very well
like,
put together.
I forget that he's like so much younger than me as well, but I'm just like, you just look so quintessentially British. And like the fashion and the vibes, I'm like here for it. So it goes Italy, and then it goes from Italy, you go to London and Paris at the same time, and then a few years later it hits New York, and then about 5 years later that trend will hit LA. That's how fashion travels. And so he's got that. He's like you, Mike. He's got that it factor where you can just tell he's like doing what he was born to do. You too, Sammi. Even though we're not allowed to talk about Sammi, we're allowed to show Sammi. Is Sammi even real? We'll see.
I have that AI it factor.
She merged with AI into transhumanism.
Peter Thiel is my father.
That's why she didn't have anything to say about us shredding the idea of transhumanism earlier in the show.
Just quietly fuming.
We were being racist against Sammi. No.
What is the OpenAI?
OpenAI, like
Sam Altman. Yeah. I was just talking about this last night. Didn't he recently say something about like being against AI or controlling it in certain ways makes you like a speciesist? Or do you know what I'm talking about? He's tried to make that argument that you can like be a speciesist against AI.
Oh yeah, Smythe, you can find me. I mean, my parents gave me such a stupid name that if you look me up, you can find me. But yeah, Smythe Hill under my married name, even though I still need to legally change my name. That's a whole other kettle of fish. But you can find me on the YouTubes. I don't post so much. I'm a writer. I love my writing. I love writing for people. I love writing for Mike. I just love to write. And yeah, Austin, the Austin conference will be next year. What are the dates for the Austin conference?
Oh, I just had that today. It's like October.
I'll check for you.
15th through the 17th or 16th through the 18th, I think, actually.
Yep. Nice. October 16th through the 18th.
And if you guys aren't familiar with Austin, we got the Moody Theater here in Austin, which is kind of a big deal. So it's going to be a massive venue on a major event stage. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be one to not to miss. And Sam, you make sure to plug your channel too. Sammy's got a YouTube channel.
I haven't posted.
Unless you're trying to remain anonymous
forever. I said I just haven't posted anything in forever, but I'm working on a new video, so
nice.
I will be. I was commenting with my account in the chat, so
there you go.
So there you go.
Figure it out
again, so people can find you. Apparently, Craig 8375 watched one of my political shows. I do a lot of political stuff. Because you gotta look at the past, you gotta look at the present. Because once you figure out those two, you know what's gonna happen next. So that's my whole thing. Like I said, I like to write and rant about stuff.
And there you go. From the horse's mouth, we'll be opening early registration for Austin next week.
Oh heck yeah! I didn't know it was that soon.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah. Hold on, do we have one of those?
I know. I was just gonna check for that.
It's so good.
That'll have to get on the train.
Thomas the Tank Engine. Terrible drum roll. It's
No.
so bad. I love it.
Gosh.
The bongo drum roll. We should
Oh.
make that part of our thing. Oh,
There's more of them, and you can choose more.
There we go.
Heartbeats found. Okay. Anyway.
Man, thank you guys so much. What a wonderful stream.
that's so
Oh,
funny.
I gotta say the results. I asked the chat. A poll. I said, "Are psychedelics alien technology or divine creation? Aliens for sure. God designed all, or both, because God designed aliens as well. So if God designed everything, then they designed the aliens who could have designed the psychedelics.
Okay, all right.
So
What won?
the winner was both, because God designed aliens as well. 52%, but 38% followed up with God designed all, and only 10% for aliens for sure. So
okay.
Oh wow. Oh, do you know, I was like, as I was falling asleep last night, I was like, you know what? I've been through like a bit of a lot, not like a lull, but you know, when you get those moments where you can't quite feel that connection with your faith. And like, I usually do it when I feel like I'm about to burn out and stuff like that. And then I was just like, God, I don't want one of the bad ones. I want one of the good ones that helps reignite me with my faith. We've talked about this. Three of us off air. Like, there's certain things you don't pray for. Don't ever pray for peace. You ain't gonna get it. Okay. Like, you don't.
Such a good
but
point.
I had that like little prayer last night, and my goodness, did this stream answer it. So thank you everyone in the chat who hung out with us tonight. You guys are all magical. Please find us on social media. We follow back. We are trying to create a community here. And I think Mike's absolutely killing it by bringing all these brilliant people together. Like, I can't even remember what life was like before you and Sammy were such a regular part of my life. So thank you both.
That's been such a good fit. I've so enjoyed doing all this, and I look forward to every Tuesday night, not just to hang out with you guys, but also everybody in the audience as well. This is always fun. We have such a positive audience.
Yes.
Everybody's so friendly.
I feel like you had to block a couple of people tonight, though, Sammy, who were being mean to William, and I just wanted to beat them up. And I didn't see the comments, but I was like, "Ooh, they must have been bad."
There was just one person who, threw a bit of a jab, and we like to keep it positive. So, I don't like name calling.
Yeah.
I love free speech, but we're keeping the vibes.
Someone a long time ago. Well, you know what? I'll save that for another day.
Yeah.
Let's drop in feeding the ducks.
Let's
feed the ducks.
Let's do it. Good night, everyone. I still don't know what feeding the ducks means.
That's the music playing. It's the name of this music.
I know, but Gary said there's something.
I know. Okay,
I don't want to know what that is.
Well, we're Sammy and I will see him in a few days, so we'll get the scoop on that. How's that?
Thank you. That sounds.
But apparently,
I don't want to know.
Apparently, it's not good. So
I want to stay naive.
Yeah, exactly.
Ignorance is bliss.
Exactly.
All right. Night, y'all.
Bye, chat.